Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Listen, I'm sorry there wasn't a video last week. There were some discussions happening that I'll tell you about later. But I wasn't quite sure what the video would look like. I wasn't quite sure about a few other things that we'll talk about in a little bit. But I wanted to let you know, as close to face as I can get, which is this. So sorry about that. Anyway, moving on. What do you think of when you think of the future? Particularly your future. Maybe you have some great hopes for the future. For the immediate future, lockdown ending and being able to see each other again, hanging out as friends, coming back to youth group, maybe looking a little longer term, growing up, get a job and becoming the awesome people that I'm sure you will. But maybe there's a few worries along the way as well. Worries over exams or family or whatever else. Now, we've been spending our time in these videos talking about God's perfect world. And we started a few weeks ago by seeing how there is a world we all want, a perfect world of no pain, no suffering, and no death. And that's both the future to come, but we also saw that was the world that God originally made. But that's obviously not the world that we currently live in. So we looked a little bit further, and we saw how people rebelled against God, breaking the world and leaving things as we see them now. Then we looked at Abraham, and we saw that God has promised to make all the wrong things right again. And if we continued through the Old Testament, we'd see God slowly putting that into place and showing what that will look like. God promises to remake all, to make it all good again, to make the perfect world we saw back at the start of this little series of videos when we talked about Revelation. But how is that going to happen? Well, it's going to happen through Jesus. Jesus gave us a glimpse of it when he healed the sick, when he raised the dead and fed the hungry. But didn't all that end when Jesus was killed? Surely that would have put an end to any hope or plan that Jesus had. Well, today in this video, we're going to see why that's not the case. We're going to see why the death of Jesus isn't a sad thing, but is such good news, and why it should make us hope for the future. And we're going to jump into our Bibles here at Mark chapter 15 and at verse 33. And at this point, Jesus has been arrested and he is currently nailed on the cross. Let me read from verse 33 for a little bit. And when the 6th hour had come, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? And some of the bystanders hearing it said, Behold, he is calling Elijah. And someone ran with a sponge with sour wine, put it on a reed and gave it to him to drink, saying, Wait, let us see whether Elijah will come and take him down. And Jesus uttered a loud cry and breathed his last. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the centurion who stood facing him saw that in this way he breathed his last, he said, Truly this man was the Son of God. Now there's one key detail I want you to notice here, and it's what happens when Jesus dies. I'm sure you noticed it, but it involves a special curtain. And this curtain keeps people out from the holiest part of the temple, from the very centre. And at the very centre, this was the symbol of God's presence. Think of it sort of like where God was. That's the symbol here. This is where God was. And so the curtain separated people from God. But as Jesus dies, that curtain is torn in two. Jesus died for us. He didn't deserve it. He had only ever done good. And as he died, the land becomes dark. And Jesus is cut off from God. We hear him say, Why have you forsaken me? Now we have, as we've seen, rebel against God. We've spoiled his world. But here Jesus deals with the problem by taking our place for us. He takes our sins for us so the way to God is clear and open. Now in church sometimes we sing a song all about the different ways we can't get to heaven. You can't get to heaven on the back of a camel, according to the song, or in a bus, or on a rocket, or a pogo stick. That'll only make you feel sick. Now, those are obviously all very silly examples, but there are many ways that people think you can get to God's perfect new creation that will work about as well as the back of a camel. By trying really hard and being good, that's just not going to work. Just by attending church each week, and maybe youth group as well, that's not going to work. Any other way you can think of, probably not going to work. The truth is, as that song says, that God will welcome anyone who wants to come to him, anyone at all. And Jesus has done everything needed to make us right with God. Through his death, the curtain tears in two and the way is opened. All we have to do is trust in Jesus. Trust in Jesus and what he did for us, taking our place on the cross. But if we read on a little bit in Mark, we'd see a little more. We'd see that Jesus doesn't stay dead. 3 days later, he rises again, and that shows us that it worked, showing us that death is defeated, that the cross was a success. God's perfect world is coming. Jesus is going to bring it at some point, and if you want, you can be a part of it. All you have to do is put your trust in Jesus. Now that would usually be where I'd end this video, but I do need to tell you something before I go. This is going to be the last video you see from me, at least for a little while. Due to there being no services or anything else happening at church, there isn't much money coming in through like the collection and whatnot. And that money is how I get paid. So in order that when the coronavirus lockdown is over, that I can be back with you, I'm going to be going, in the meantime, what's called furlough. Which means what I'm allowed to do in the meantime is really limited. But don't worry, I have planned ahead, and I've roped in the lovely Sarah Feiss, you all know her, and she is going to send you a little study each week to have a look at and to give a go. I don't think that each one will take too long. They're quite short little studies, but each one is going to help us better see who Jesus is and what he means for us. I don't know what Fionn wants. I might leave this in. The last thing I wanted to mention is that, as you know, sadly, Barnstaple 2 won't be happening this summer. But do keep on the lookout for our new plans to have camp, but at home over the internet. We've been working hard on them. We think it'll be a really fun week, a really good week. And you're very welcome to join us, even if you weren't signed up for camp this summer. Do come along, log in and join in with that. The details will be coming out to you. So I guess that's it for now. I miss you guys, and I'm already looking forward to our first Tuesday evening together again. I'm thinking we're going to order pizza. I hope to see you soon.